What's up, everyone? Welcome to the December 22nd edition of the the December 2nd edition of the NBA Injury Report, brought to you by BetMGM. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And we have an 11-game NBA slate to take a look at tonight. We actually don't have a ton of injury news to get to right now, but there are a few really important spots that we'll need to pay attention to, and we'll get to those in a minute. But first, click the link in the description below. Sign up and make a deposit at BetMGM. Place $10 on any pregame World Cup money line and receive $200 in free bets if any team scores a goal. That doesn't mean any team in the game that you bet. It means any team in the World Cup. It's already happened. So bet $10, get $200 in free bets. All you have to do is click that link in the description below, sign up, make a deposit, and bet $10 on a pregame World Cup money line. Be sure to take advantage of that offer from BetMGM. Now, starting with the Atlanta Hawks, this is the most complicated team that we have right now. Bogdanovic is questionable. He's expected to play in his first game of the season soon, but he's questionable today. Trae Young is questionable. Clint Capela is questionable. Jalen Johnson is questionable. And Frank Kaminsky is questionable, in addition to John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Trent Forrest, and Justin Holiday all being out. This team could be extremely shorthanded tonight. And if they're not, we still don't know exactly how these rotations are going to go because we haven't seen a game yet this year without John Collins. And then you also have Hunter out. So starting with Trae Young, if he is out, you're likely to see more minutes for Aaron Holiday. You're also likely to see a lot more production for DeJounte Murray. That's a huge piece there. If Bogdanovic is in and somehow not limited, he would benefit if Young is out as well. But my expectation is that Bogdanovic will be limited in his return. So I don't know how useful he would be anyway. If Clint Capela is out, Onyeka Okongwu is likely to start and play 30-plus minutes. He will look like a good value option. As far as Jalen Johnson and Frank Kaminsky go, their status just impacts the depth of this team because playing without DeAndre Hunter and John Collins, we don't know who is going to get the starts and get the minutes. Previously, with DeAndre Hunter out, we've seen AJ Griffin start and play a lot. In the second half last game, with Collins and Hunter both injured during the game, Vit Krejci and Jarrett Culver started the second half. Culver ended up playing a lot of minutes in that game. So if Jalen Johnson's back, maybe Culver still starts, but it could also be Johnson. If Jalen Johnson is back, you could get, AJ Griffin starting alongside him. You could get Vit Krejci in there. I don't know what the starting lineup's going to look like, but with Collins, Hunter, Trent Forrest, and Justin Holiday out, if you were to remove Jalen Johnson, then you're getting even more sort of guaranteed minutes for somebody like AJ Griffin. Frank Kaminsky also played some minutes at the 4 in the second half last game. So if he is out, it helps to solidify minutes for whoever is in. If he's in, you could potentially see a situation where Kaminsky gets some minutes at the 4. Granted, if Capela is out, Kaminsky needs to play those minutes at the 5, and you're still going to get a bunch of minutes at the 4. So basically, this is a really, really complicated situation. It's kind of similar to the Miami Heat injury reports that we've gotten recently. But the most useful things that you can really keep in mind are if Trae Young is out, obviously that's opening up minutes for guys like Aaron Holiday, but also a lot of production for DeJounte Murray. And if Clint Capela is out, it very clearly moves Onyeka Okongwu up to be one of the best values. Other than that, we kind of need to see who is actually starting in place of Hunter and Collins and who is available off the bench. For the Orlando Magic, Mo Bamba is questionable. They are missing a bunch of guys, but they've also gotten back Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz. So you have no Wendell Carter Jr., but if Bamba's back, I expect him to be in the starting lineup. He's 5,800 on DraftKings. He would be a reasonable tournament option. No Wendell Carter Jr., no Gary Harris, no Chuma Okeke, no Jalen Suggs, but you would still have a pretty messy rotation because of the return of Anthony and Fultz. Bol still getting, upper 20s, low 30s minutes as well. So if Bamba's out, I don't think it really necessarily opens the door for anybody to look great. If Bamba's in, he looks fine. Not as big a piece as it would have been, a week or so ago, though. For the Philadelphia 76ers, Tobias Harris is questionable. This is another spot where it does change some things if he's out, but it doesn't necessarily make anyone look great. You would potentially get more usage for guys like Shake Milton, DeAnthony Melton, and Joel Embiid if Harris is out, but he hasn't been that high of a usage guy anyway, and Embiid is already pushing a near 40% usage rate without Maxey and Harden, so you can only really get so much better. They would look marginally better if Harris is out. I expect that Daniel House would start in his place. That's what we saw previously. House only averages between 0.5 and 0.6 DraftKings points per minute, however, so he's not exactly exciting. George Niang played a lot of minutes in the games that Harris has been out, getting up around 30 in both of those games, but he's also priced up to 4,700 on DraftKings, so that's not overly exciting. If you want to gamble on a $3,200 Furkan Korkmaz off the bench, that is reasonable, but also not very exciting. For the Indiana Pacers, this one potentially would be huge. Tyrese Haliburton is questionable. He went through shoot around, but remains questionable on the injury report. If he is out, it's likely that TJ McConnell starts in his place. McConnell has averaged around 35 minutes per game in 11 starts going back the last couple of seasons. He would clearly become one of the best value options. You also would potentially have increased usage for guys like Buddy Hield. The issue, though, is that Haliburton is such a good playmaker that the increased usage for Hield could also come with less efficiency if he's getting less open looks as a result of Haliburton not being in. So I think it would probably be pretty close to a neutral outcome for most of the other starters, but TJ McConnell would clearly start to look like a top value. So to recap, the big injury news that we're waiting on for Atlanta: Bogdanovic, Trae Young, Clint Capela, Jalen Johnson, and Frank Kaminsky are questionable. Mo Bamba is questionable for the Magic. Tobias Harris is questionable for the Sixers. He did not go through shoot around. And Tyrese Haliburton is questionable for the Pacers. He did go through shoot around.